is AM 1600 KDAK, Carrington, and FM 100.1 K261EW, Carrington. Locally owned and operated by I3G Media.
It's time to find out what's going on in Carrington Cardinals athletics on the Carrington Coaches Show on KDAK The Cardinal and the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page. The Carrington Coaches Show takes you behind the scenes of all things Cardinal athletics. Now, live from the Prairie Inn in Carrington, here is BJ Walters.
And that is exactly what we do. As Ricky said, we get you inside what's going on with Carrington Cardinal Athletics, and we welcome you to the Carrington Coaches Show live from Prairie Inn Restaurant and Bakery on this Monday, and it is a doubleheader Monday night for you. Why? Because, well, why wouldn't it be? As we've got Carrington boys basketball coming up against the Titans of Griggs Mid-Coda. Now, that's coming up a little later. Coming up on this program, we'll be joined by the head coach of the Cardinals, Andy Broughton. We'll also be joined by Carrington girls wrestling coach, Mark Pazdernick. And later on, it depends on the timing of how things are going on over at the gymnasium. We may be joined by Kyle here on the show as we get ready for the boys game with Griggs Mid-Coda coming up at the top of the hour, or at 6:45 we might have to just send it right on over to Kyle. Of course, we are here at the fabulous Prairie Inn Restaurant and Bakery in Carrington, North Dakota, and the omelet special, a Mexican omelet, taco meat, salsa, and cheddar cheese in a 3-egg omelet served with pancakes or toast. The evening special, boy, a 6-ounce sirloin and barbecue grilled chicken breast served with your choice of potato, dinner roll, or toast, and dinner salad or a cup of soup. I mean, that is dinner indeed. Also, the Monday special, a liver and onion dinner served with mashed potatoes, vegetable, and a dinner roll or toast. So come on by, have dinner with us. Of course, as we always tell you, when we're done at 7, they are not done. They are open until 9. So come on by, get some of this great food indeed. It is a big week of Carrington sports. Of course, we've got girls wrestling coming up on Saturday in Lisbon at the Girls Store Hog Tournament. We will have Coach Pazdernick here shortly to discuss that with us. Also, we've got boys basketball tonight, and we've also got girls basketball. New polls are out. They're still ranked 4th in the state, the Carrington girls, and they are on the road in Fort Totten tomorrow looking for their 7th consecutive win. They are 10-1 on the year, a 4-game winning streak followed by the loss to Devil's Lake, and now a 6-game winning streak. They're coming off of an easy win over the Lisbon Broncos on Friday night. Easy only in that they did the hard things well to make it a little easier than it may have been otherwise. And with that being said, we had a chance earlier today to catch up with senior co-captains Isabel Wendell and Eden Hornet.
10-1 start to the season. Now you're moving into the middle portion of the schedule. Eden, can you believe that your senior year is already half over?
I can't. It's gone by so fast, and I played with these girls for so long that it's going to be a big change when it's over.
Isabel, what about you? You've both been on varsity for a long time, and now, I mean, you're coming down the home stretch.
I know, it's never seemed like there was an ending. I mean, we started so young, like you said, and, we always had next year to look forward to, and we're just trying to make the most of this year and do what we can with the time we have left.
You were once in the position that these freshmen are in. How much do you stress to them that while it might seem like you have forever, you really don't? You've got to soak in every moment.
Yeah, I think just telling them about our experiences and, just reminding them that we have so much to be grateful for and not to take any moment for granted, no matter how hard the practice is or how much it seems like, we don't want to show up, that all the moments count.
I definitely agree with Isabel. I think after like this season's over, they'll realize just how fast it went, and the next 3 years are gonna go just as fast as this one did.
Okay, so the memory bank then for a minute. Do you remember your first varsity games?
I do. They were definitely a big change from 8th grade to freshman year, a lot faster. Not as fast as it is now since we're Class A, but it was a big change. So props to them for stepping up like they have.
I remember my first game. I remember we played Velva, and it was definitely, I don't think I have ever been more nervous in my life for that moment. I was not ready for the change of pace. And like Eden said, it was definitely a change from our middle school years, but we got used to it. And it's great to see how the freshmen are coming along and how good they're doing.
How would you assess the year so far to this point? I mean, the Hoopster magazine made this crazy prediction that you'd be fifth in the region. Here you are, a state ranked team. How would you assess your senior year so far?
Yeah, I believe a lot of people overlooked us, and I'm not really sure why, to be honest, but we've been greatly underestimated this year, and I think we're making a lot of teams, see the mistake that they made in putting us down so much, and we're definitely just showing up and focusing on our skills every day and not what other people think about us.
I agree with Isabel, and it's exciting to be getting votes, but we can't take that too seriously. We saw that Kindred beat Devil's Lake, so anything is possible. We're ranked 4th right now, or as of when I looked, but I think we can do even better than that.
Was that a chip on your shoulder, seeing, that you were picked second last in a region that includes teams that you had beaten a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little disappointing, but then we just had more to prove to everyone else. So.
For sure. And our region is full of so many great teams, and they show up every year and bring such great competition for us. So, I mean, I will say I was surprised, but we knew what the competition would be like.
We're being joined by senior co-captains Isabel Wendell and Eden Hornet. You mentioned a word that I think is really important for people who don't follow this program the way those of us in town do. Competition, not just outside competition either. You play 9 girls on a game night. Must make for some extremely competitive practices.
Yeah, it definitely does. We have to push each other if we want to come out in games and have everybody scoring like we do. We have to push each other hard in practice and just make everybody else better.
I totally agree with what Eden said. Our practices are definitely on the competitive edge. I mean, we know how to have fun, but we know when it's time to be serious and get to work. And all the girls show up every day and give 100% into what they're doing. And it's made not only the varsity players so much better, but everybody down the line.
As seniors, you see the young players, and not just those who start like, Mara Johnson, Mara Coots, but the young players that come off the bench, Aniston, Eden's little sister, and just all the players that come off the bench. How pleased have you guys been with their growth to this point of the season?
I think that they have come such a long ways. It's nice when you don't have to have your starters on the court all the time to be confident in a team. And I think no matter who's on the court at any given time, we can be confident that they're going to give their all on defense and do what they can on offense.
I agree. I feel just as confident with a freshman going in for me than I do another senior. I think my team is great overall, and I think we're just going to get better as the years go on, even after we graduate.
Senior co-captains Isabel Wendell and Eden Hornet joining us. So the second half of the schedule, there's lots of fun challenges ahead. You've got Northern Cass coming in here. You've got South Prairie Max and Minot, another game with Devil's Lake, another game with Thompson. This is the fun part of the season, right?
For sure. The competition definitely gets amped up a little bit for us. And I think it's a good reflection of what postseason may look like. We know we're going to be facing so many challenges when that comes along. So it's nice just to, see all of our competition and refresh our bodies and our competitive edge.
I agree. The teams are going to be really good, and I just want to go out and beat them, and I want to see Devil's Lake again so we can redeem ourselves.
So on that note, I mean, you guys always have high expectations. This is Carrington girls basketball. If you don't want expectations, you don't play around here. But what were your expectations coming into the season for the team? And then have they changed at all over the course of the season?
Mine have stayed about the same, but I want to get as far into the season as we can. I'd like to go to state since we came so close last year, just fell a little short. And then on my own, I try to score as many points as I can and down on defense since that our offensive side is not going great that night. It just keeps us in it.
I think for expectations for us, we always have defense on our mind. And that is something that has kept us in so many games in the past and has honestly won us games. And we've been really focused on staying very discipline with our defense, and I think that will help us come a long way. And like Eden said, we're on the road to state. As long as all of my other teammates have that expectation in mind, and we think we can accomplish it.
All right, we can't talk defense without talking to you specifically, Isabel, because you go and you pick up the opponent's best scorer, especially if it's a perimeter player. How much do you relish that role within this team?
I mean, I guess it's nice when we know who the best player is and Coach Broughton tells me that I'm going to guard her. But I mean, I just try to do what I can because I know that defense is one of my strong suits. And I can help on the court as much as I can defensively as my teammates can offensively.
And on that note, I mean, Eden, early in the year, it was very clear that while everyone else learned where they fit in, you were going to be the leading scorer most games. Now we're to the point where you're still the leading scorer, but it's 9 players every night scoring. How much fun is that for you?
It's a lot of fun, especially if I'm having like an off night or whatever. I can count on any of my teammates to pick it up like they do every game.
Senior co-captains Isabel Wendell and Eden Hornet joining us on the Carrington Coaches Show. Okay, so tomorrow night, taking on 4 Winds Minnewacan. I've heard nothing about anything other than it's really hard to win there because they play very well at home, no matter how good or how not good of a season that they're having. You guys have done this before, tried to go up there and win. What makes that place so tough?
Yeah, they have a really good home crowd for sure. And their environment, they really support their girls basketball program like they do here in Carrington. So it's just about, keeping within ourselves and not focusing on what's surrounding us, but, focusing on the fundamentals like our defense and our offense.
I think defense will definitely keep us in it. They're great shooters, 3-point shooters and posts, so we can't underestimate them. I know they've only won one game, but that doesn't mean anything at this point in the game. Yeah, they're going to be good.
Last question for you. You split with the 2 teams that play tonight. Do you have a rooting interest in the Devils Lake Thompson game that's going on today?
I don't really, but if I had to pick, I'd probably want Devils Lake to win.
Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't even know they were playing tonight, so I'm going to have to follow up on that. But they'll definitely have a very competitive game. And no matter who wins, I think it's going to make regionals like seedings a lot more confusing because there's been a lot of this team beat that team, but that team also beat this team. It's just all over the place.
It definitely is. Well, young ladies, congratulations on the season to this point. 10-1 with 9 to go. And we'll see you tomorrow night in Fort Totten.
Thank you, BJ.
Thank you.
That is senior co-captains right there. Senior co-captains Isabel Wendell and Eden Hornet joining us here on the Carrington Coaches Show as we have Carrington boys basketball coming up. And don't forget, the girls play tomorrow night. Will be on the air around 7 o'clock as they take on 4 Winds Minnewacan. We'll have more of the Carrington Coaches Show right after this.
There's no community like a Cenex community. That's why every Cenex store is proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
Visit your local Arrowwood Prairie Co-op in Carrington, Wimbledon, Cooperstown, and Sutton.
Sports fans, want to stay on top of all the local action? Catch what you missed by checking out the Foster County Independent. From game-changing plays to memorable moments, we've got you covered with the most in-depth sports coverage in town. And don't miss our stunning photo galleries that capture every thrilling moment and winning smile. For the latest scores, stories, and stunning sports shots, grab your copy of the Foster County Independent today or visit us online at fosterconews.com.
Do you want to make sure homework time isn't spent on games and video streaming? Dakota Central can help. With Experience IQ, you set limits to ensure your kids aren't playing when they should be doing homework. With premium managed Wi-Fi from Dakota Central, you can create healthier internet habits for your children from the easy-to-use Command IQ app. Learn more about premium Wi-Fi and Experience IQ today at dakotacentral.com.
Effortlessly manage your farm fertility with Verify. Verify takes yield data directly from your combine and instantly generates variable rate fertility maps based on your nutritional goals. Whether it's building soil, balancing nutrition, or maintaining fertility. And with full integration with John Deere Operations Center, Verify can send recommendations directly to application equipment, no matter the color. For more information on Verify, talk to your hefty agronomist and keep your farm moving.
When you're thinking about insurance, think of Bickett Insurance. Bickett Insurance, through our partnership with Auto Owners Insurance, can take care of your farm, home, auto, business, or life insurance needs. The agents at Bickett Insurance have over 115 years of insurance experience, and we are from here, so we know how to design policies to protect the things important to you. Let Bickett Insurance give you a free proposal from Auto Owners Insurance or one of our many other partners. Give Bickett Insurance a call at 652-1775 today.
Back at Prairie Inn, it is the Carrington Coaches Show right here on KDAK The Cardinal and on the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page. The sandwich special tonight, the breakfast burger, a quarter-pound burger with bacon, American cheese, and over medium egg, served with French fries or a cup of soup. Come get yourself some dinner. If you're watching on YouTube, you can clearly see that we're being joined by Carrington girls wrestling coach Mark Pazdernick, and we'll get to the past weekend and this upcoming weekend, but we're just approaching a topic during the break that I think is a really fascinating one, and it is the boom in wrestling, especially girls wrestling in like the last 10 years. I think it's only been 5 or 6 years since Minnesota sanctioned girls wrestling.
Sanctioned it before Minnesota did. This is
Did
the
they?
fourth year, and I wonder maybe this is only the third year in Minnesota.
That's
but
right.
it's at least about the same time, or we might be 1 year ahead of them. So
And so I'm looking at the sheet from the Rotary, and there's so many schools that it makes perfect sense to say, okay, time to split this up. But your point is still a very good one that we're not there yet.
and we probably didn't discuss it enough. I do agree about splitting. I really think going forward, even starting next year, like the state duels probably should be split with Class A and Class B. But the individual part yet, almost probably need to keep it one class because there probably isn't enough girls to fill a full weight class. Some are really full, and then the upper weights you barely get 16 kids, 17, 18, and a full bracket is 16. So that's probably down the road. But the goal is to hopefully more Class B schools that can fill a full lineup. And I think the way that they're going to be able to do it faster if they split the duels between A and B, because I'll be honest, there's a lot of kids that we got to go wrestle the Bismarck schools, the Fargo schools, Class A. There's a lot of intimidation there, and I think a lot of teams, including my own, we could grow in numbers if there was a goal in mind that we would just be competing maybe in the duels just for Class B schools.
Do you think that is the next step? Is being, or do you see? I guess the better question is, do you see that growth among Class B schools?
Now, one thing you said is you think that's the next step. I'm not sure. That's the next step I would like to see happen.
Sure.
And the way I look at it, I don't think Carrington and Pembina County and Kenmare, South Border should be competing with those Class A schools.
Yeah.
If we look at the Fargo schools, the Fargo Stingers has Fargo North, Fargo South, Fargo Davies. West Fargo has West Fargo Cheyenne, West Fargo Packers, and West Horace out there. So and I know West Fargo Cheyenne is supposed to be one of the biggest high schools. So you think of the middle schools, they're maybe picking from honestly 2,000 girls, 3,000 girls. I'm picking from 120. And I've talked to the Napoleon coach. He's picking from 50 girls.
Oh my
Their
goodness.
school's that much smaller.
Oh
And
my
he's still got
goodness.
13, 14 out. So if you look at the percentages, we shouldn't be able to compete with those schools. And the last 2 years, I've had some pretty good teams. Carrington has made it in the duels the last 2 years. This year, I think we maybe have a farther outreach to make it. I still think we have a chance. But again, we shouldn't be able to compete with those bigger schools. Bismarck starts the year with 40 or 50 girls on their roster. Minot had 40. I think I started with 16, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I don't fill a full weight class of 13 weight classes. I think I'm open 3, 4. I've had a couple girls switch some weight classes that have helped us fill some of the weight classes. But going forward, I think the goal, my goal and maybe the state should be to split the duels. And I think I could see some improvement in numbers, and I think other teams could see some improvement in numbers if they knew they had a chance to make it to state in the duels. I think it could draw draw some participation. And my thing is, I know I like to win. Don't get me wrong, but I believe the goal of North Dakota sports is participation, is to get the participation up, to get them out, to get kids involved, and I think that would be doing the job of it. So, but
I think you may have just hit a bullseye by saying give the girls belief they can actually do it, and more will show up.
right,
I mean,
right,
that's
yep, yep,
absolutely.
yep.
So you guys did take part in the Bismarck Rotary, 12th overall, third amongst Class B schools. I mean, how would you say when you
Yeah,
just about had a 500
yeah,
record?
we end up being, our record was 24 and 25. Yeah, we had a few girls go 0 and 2, but we had most girls that won 1 or 2 matches. Overall, it was pretty good. I had a couple girls missing. Most of my varsity girls were back over Christmas vacation. I was missing 2 or 3 here and there at the Rumble and at the South Border Brawl down in Ashley. But I had most of them back, and I thought we did a good job. I thought at the Rumble and the Rotary, I'm starting to see some improvements. I've been barking maybe a little bit harder in the practice room because at this time of the point we need to be doing technique correctly,
Yep.
and that shows up on the mat. If we don't do that, the chance of winning matches against some really good girls probably isn't in the cards. So that's where we've been really buckling down on the technique and the basics, and it seems like it is showing up in the matches. I know last weekend, the top 2 finishers last week was Kendra Garcia, took second, and Jasmine Ybarra took fourth. Kendra, she ended up wrestling a New Salem girl in the quarters, and we got pinned by her early in the year, and she ended up dominating that match and pinning her back.
Wow.
And then we wrestled a Golding girl from Jamestown who's 24 and old. I think she was a state champion last year at 112, or at least made the finals. We end up kind of owning her. Um, this girl is very, very good in the upper position headlocks, and we took that away from her, and we end up pinning her in the first period and dominating her.
My
And
goodness.
then she ended up wrestling the same girl that Jasmine wrestled in the semis at the Rumble, Alexis Snyder from Napoleon, who's already a 3-time state champion. Probably the one, probably the best girl in the whole state, one of the top 2 or 3. And Kendra was just a little outmatched with Schneider. So, and then Jasmine Ybarra had a really good tournament also. She got to the semis, losing to DeBlair from Grand Forks, and then we wrestled a Carr girl, Haley Carr from Minot, and we ended up kind of wrestling out of position, and we got caught and went to our back to take fourth. But for the most part, I thought we wrestled pretty well. We had a couple other girls that made it to the second day. Call it the blood round, where there's 12 girls left, 8 girls on the wrestlebacks. If they win that next match, they place the top 8, excuse me, and Madalena Chubateriano and Nevaeh Sorensen both made it to the second day. They were 1 match away, and then we had a couple other girls that were 2 matches away that won a couple matches. Some of those brackets were 64-man brackets, and some were 32. Now they weren't full 64, but they were probably in the 40s or 50s.
Sure.
Kendra she ended up being 5-1 on the day. And she had 1 extra match than Snyder had. Snyder was 5-0, but Kendra ended up picking up a first-round match. So 64-man bracket, there's a lot of wrestling to be done there. So,
And you now have, I'm just looking on the sheet, you now have 3 wrestlers who are 10 matches above 500 this season. That is really good.
yeah,
Considering the competition you face.
yeah, it's and back to we are one division. I think some people kind of forget that. Oh, it's Class B wrestling. You're just wrestling in Class B towns. No, it's Fargo, Bismarck, Grand Forks, Dickinson, Minot. So yeah, have a fairly young team. Yeah, we have some girls that have been out for quite a while, but we still have a fairly young team, and we just keep to improve on each week. And even some of the other girls that lost some matches, we've been pinned in tech by some girls, and up into the second period, we were tied with them or right in the match. So we're starting to make adjustments of making less mistakes and being in the match. We just need to continue that down the road, and maybe we can squeak out some of those wins in the third period when the timer goes down to 0.
So the next big challenge, and it is a big challenge, anytime you go to Lisbon for wrestling, boy, it's a great opportunity. You've got that tournament this Saturday. How many teams are you looking at? And how many,
On the schedule, and I don't know if they're all said they were definitely going, but there were 16, 17 teams, so I'm expecting probably 125, 150 kids going to be there. So Central Cass will be there, Fargo will be there. So those are some of the bigger numbers of kids that will be there. Central Cass will be there. I think South Border will probably be there, Valley City. So yeah, I think Grand Forks usually goes. So they'll be a lot of the same teams, a lot of the top same teams will be there. So there's either this tournament this weekend or Hazen has a tournament out west for the most part. So yeah.
So it sounds like you're starting to see that improvement that, when the calendar hits January, you've really got to get going.
Yeah, for the most part, we have Lisbon this weekend. Following weekend is rugby, and then the next weekend after that is Central Cass. So there's 3 regular season tournaments, and then the first weekend in February will be the regional duels, and we will be competing in the regional duels. That's up in Grand Forks, and then Central Cass hosts the individual regional tournament in Central Cass. And then the third weekend in February is always the state tournament, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So.
And we'll be there for the entire postseason. We'll have the duels and the individuals.
And I believe both, if I can remember, for fans that are thinking about attending or listening, both the regional duels and the individual is on Friday. That's the way it's been. I think since I've been involved with it, because they try to host the regional either Class A tournament the next day individual or the Class B tournament next year. So, or the next day, excuse me. Try to keep it all together.
Do you like this basically the whole regular season being tournaments, or would you like more duels?
Well, I would like a few more duels. It's really hard to find some teams that have more than 5-6 girls to travel, way up to Kenmare. They do have 7 girls out right now, but before the beginning of the year, they maybe had 3 or 4. That's a long ways to go for 4 matches.
Sure is.
So that's the tricky part about it. But we would like to get a few more duels. And sometimes we're not full. If we only got 7 or 8 girls, it's hard to travel that far too. Especially if they only got 3 girls, there's no guarantee you're going to match up with those 3-4 girls. So that's always something to keep in mind. I don't know if people know that if you weigh in at 100 pounds, you can only go up one weight class. You can only either wrestle 100 or 106.
Sure.
So you only got 2 choices there. So so it's always one of those things. People should wrestle more duels, but sometimes you go to a duel and there's 3-4 matches, and that's not really fun to watch.
No, you can get more out of the tournament.
Yes. Yeah. But I would. Duels are. The girls really like wrestling the duels. They really get into it. They pull for their teammates. It's more of that team orientation. Yes, there was team scores kept at this last weekend's tournament, but it's a little bit harder, to see all the wrestling. I honestly don't think the girls understand all the points, how the points occur. In a duel, a pin's worth 6 points. Well, in a tournament, it's only worth 2. So there's always those fine adjustments that they don't really understand how the scoring necessarily works. The duel they definitely do for the most part, but going to the future, hope to get a few more girls out where it's maybe a little bit easier to duel some more people. So, but.
Before we let you go, that was pretty nice seeing Kennedy get hot from 3 the other night.
Yeah, I ended up getting to watch her on YouTube the other night, or YouTube, and shot 3 threes in a row. So that was pretty nice. So played some pretty good defense. I seen she had some assists. So
yeah, and they'll be in Fort Totten. We'll be there tomorrow. Well, Coach, good luck this weekend. We will have coverage beginning Saturday, 11 a.m. Note the start time. It's a little later. Usually we start these things at 10. It's 11 this week.
Yeah, and the reason it's probably 11 is because it's just a girls' tournament. In the past, the boys and girls have been together, so they've had to start it earlier. So, yeah, I think weigh-ins are at 9:30, and then wrestling starts at 11. So.
Can't wait, Coach. Thanks
so much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The head coach of Carrington Girls Wrestling, Mark Pazdernick, joining us. We'll come back, talk a little basketball with head coach Andy Broughton, and we will do that right after this as the Carrington Coaches Show rolls on.
There's no community like a Cenex community. That's why every Cenex store is proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, and stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
Visit your local Arrowwood Prairie Co-op in Carrington, Wimbledon, Cooperstown, and Sutton.
And sports fans want to stay on top of all the local action? Catch what you missed by checking out the Foster County Independent. From game-changing plays to memorable moments, we've got you covered with the most in-depth sports coverage in town. And don't miss our stunning photo galleries that capture every thrilling moment and winning smile. For the latest scores, stories, and stunning sports shots, grab your copy of the Foster County Independent today or visit us online at fosterconews.com.
Do you want to make sure homework time isn't spent on games and video streaming? Dakota Central can help. With Experience IQ, you set limits to ensure your kids aren't playing when they should be doing homework. With premium managed Wi-Fi from Dakota Central, you can create healthier internet habits for your children from the easy-to-use Command IQ app. Learn more about premium Wi-Fi and Experience IQ today at dakotacentral.com.
Effortlessly manage your farm fertility with Verify. Verify takes yield data directly from your combine and instantly generates variable rate fertility maps based on your nutritional goals. Whether it's building soil, balancing nutrition, or maintaining fertility. And with full integration with John Deere Operations Center, Verify can send recommendations directly to application equipment, no matter the color. For more information on Verify, talk to your hefty agronomist and keep your farm moving.
When you're thinking about insurance, think of Bickett Insurance. Bickett Insurance, through our partnership with Auto Owners Insurance, can take care of your farm, home, auto, business, or life insurance needs. The agents at Bickett Insurance have over 115 years of insurance experience, and we are from here, so we know how to design policies to protect the things important to you. Let Bickett Insurance give you a free proposal from Auto Owners Insurance or one of our many other partners. Give Bickett Insurance a call at 652-1775 today.
Carrington Coaches Show rolling on here on this Monday night. Don't forget, we have got boys basketball coming up very shortly against the Titans of Griggs Mid-Coda. Kyle Hewitt has the call of that one coming up very shortly here on KDAK The Cardinal. But the Carrington girls continue their good run of form. They have won 6 straight games. They're at 4 wins, Minnewacan in Region 2 play tomorrow. Their head coach, Andy Broughton, joins us. And, Coach, it would be goofy to ask if you're pleased with the 10-1 start. Of course you are, but what have been some of the pleasing aspects of this run through the midseason?
Well, I think it starts kind of with our defense and our depth. We're able to, lock in pretty good defensively. We got a lot of quick athletes, and then number of substitutions we can make and be versatile on the defensive end. So I think that's kind of the key, and the kids work together well, and they get along together well. So all of those things to help our defensive end, and then our depth kind of keeps us in those games where maybe the shooting isn't going as well, but we keep our intensity up. So I'd say those two things are kind of two of the keys.
I've been able to peek in once or twice to a practice, and you guys do a lot of the scrimmaging, against each other, the starting 5 against 5 other players. That probably helps with the depth piece, and it certainly helps with the improvement piece over a season, I would imagine.
Yeah, and not only can we do that, but we can really mix 10 to 12 girls in those situations in practice, and not always the starting 5 against the other kids, but we've had some rotations in our starting lineup, and the kids push each other because they know nothing is given to you, everything's earned, and every day in practice is a spot to earn something for them, and every game performance then is another area to where you can earn more minutes, and kids know that coach has a good problem where I like to get the kids in and next person up when it comes down to it.
And it really does a nice job later in a season. You don't have 1 or 2 players that are maybe exhausted from playing so many more minutes than everyone else. I look at, an opponent like tomorrow with 4 wins Minnewacan, and they rely heavily on Surrey Gord, but those minutes can add up over a season. You guys are able to keep the minutes balanced, and certainly it'll help later in the year as well.
Yeah, that experience to being on the floor hopefully does the job for us. And yeah, we might have to have one or two, stay on the floor a little bit more if they're doing well and locking down on a certain offensive player. But for the most part, you go in with a plan of, hey, we're going to get into our rotation and get kids experienced on the floor, and hopefully, like you said, we have the gas to run those games out.
You look at your young players, and so much has been made about them, but that freshman year, there's a lot of growth involved, not just in basketball, but in life in general. You're in high school now. You're going through a completely different routine. How pleased have you been with this freshman group on the whole, getting acclimated to, the rigors of not just a varsity schedule, but they do get a quarter or two in per night at the JV level as well?
Yeah, and what really helps us is our 8th grade schedule runs from Halloween to, right before Christmas break, and then we invite them in for the next 5 or 6 weeks. So our freshmen through this year as 8th graders, they got January and February. They got a bunch of B games last year, and they got used to the long season and, a little bit longer practices and longer road trips. So they kind of got used to it. So we kind of did the same thing this year. We got 3 8th graders with us, and they get to play some C and B squad games and get used to the practice sessions and, the certain drills and different offenses, defenses that we do, and they get kind of used to it.
You look at your team, and there's been 2 characteristics that you just can't miss with this year's team. The balance, 9 players usually not only play, but 9 players score almost every night, it seems. And then your defense. You mentioned it earlier in the interview. When you have characteristics like that, how much maturity does that show that all the games, at least from those 2 aspects, look pretty similar from game in to game out?
Yeah, we stress that consistency and that effort and attitude. And, that's what defense is. You got to have a grit about you to work hard, to get over screens, to bounce back up when you do, give up some points, and you say, hey, next time down, I'm going to stop somebody. But that's the kind of players we have, the student athletes we have. They not only work hard, on the court, but they're great students too. And I get the joy of having them, most of them in the classroom, and they keep working day in, day out. And that's all we ask for.
The head coach of Carrington girls basketball, Andy Broughton, joining us on the Carrington Coaches Show. So the 6-game winning streak, you've done a lot of good things, 10-1 on the year, the most recent win against Lisbon. And that is a game where not every team would be able to, get off to that great start and be able to put a team away. Another example of the maturity of your group.
Yeah, we changed up our defenses a little bit. So they focused in, did a good job there. And then later on in the third quarter, we were able to do some things defensively that we haven't done before, but they adjusted on the fly pretty well and listened. And as a coaching staff, that's how we kind of came out in our third quarter and said, hey, this is what we're going to plan to do. And the kids listened in, they bought in, and did a good job. And we were able to play a pretty balanced 4 quarters that night.
We know how many different ways, and we had her on the show earlier, we know how many different ways Isabel can impact a game. But when she's scoring 10, 12 points, just how much of an added dimension is that for you guys?
Well, she's got to look for her shot, and she's a point guard and looking for distribute the ball, and does a great job of that. And she's got that assist to turnover ratio that's much higher than anybody else. But she looks past first, but other teams are going to say, hey, prove it to us too. And when she knocks down shots, they have to play a little more honest defense. But then it opens up passing lanes for our next teammate, and that's what we did against Lisbon. And in rugby, we had some great backcourt cuts where kids just read off each other. It's not really set plays. They just in our 4-out or our 5-out, they just make space for each other and know how to read each other with the back cuts. And Isabel usually finds somebody on the other side of that back cut for a layup.
The head coach of the Cardinals, Andy Broughton, joining us. So I do want to touch on that game from last Tuesday, that rugby game, because that's an awfully good team, and not just a good team, that's an awfully good program. And in the second half, I mean, your defense was just outstanding really throughout the whole game, but it really stood out in that second half.
Yeah, their height presented some problems. So we knew we had to win the rebounding battle, and that's what kind of was our focus going in. That hey, we got to take care of the boards. We take care of the boards, and good things will happen. And like you said, we had a couple of players that we had to make sure we watched carefully and caught up in transition. I thought we did a better job in the first quarter. Fonstock kind of got us in transition a couple of times. We told the girls at halftime, we had to step in and make sure go a different direction than straight line to the basket. We had some girls do that, and that really helped us out. So we got to continue to do that. We know going forward we're going to see some real good offensive players, so our defense has to be locked in.
Perfect segue. It's almost like Coach Broughton should be in this seat because the next game tomorrow night is Four Winds Minnewacan, and I guess when you're preparing for this team, everything kind of starts and ends with Surrey Gord.
Yeah, and you just can't forget about the other players that they have. They have some pretty good shooters. We know we have to guard the perimeter pretty well, and those long shots make long rebounds, so we have to block out and take down those long rebounds. Again, we're hoping our defense and our depth can make the wheel of going into our favor a little bit. And we know going up there, they're a pretty good home team. They shoot the ball pretty well. So we have to be able to guard tomorrow.
That's something that doesn't get talked about as much as I guess it should. There are genuine home court advantages in this state. So what makes a good home court advantage, Coach?
Well, I think it's just more comfort. They've shot in that gym for years at times, and you spend a lot of time, you get a little more comfort, and you get a little more routine, and I think that kind of goes into that home court thing, and just more comfort, more routine, help those shots go in a little bit more, maybe they know their rims a little bit better. You still got to play the defense. Everybody's got to go and play on an away court, so and tournaments are on an away court too, so it's a good practice and good opportunity to show what we can do when we're on the road.
You guys have been quite busy over the last few weeks. After this game Tuesday, you won't play until you host Northern Cass a week from Tuesday. Is it good to have a bit of a breather in this part of the schedule before you hit that stretch run where it gets not just really busy, but really busy against superb basketball teams?
Yeah, we can work on some things. Sometimes we have that gap in the schedule, and usually it gets filled in by weather. But so far, knock on wood, we've been lucky to get all our games in. So sometimes we have that gap in the schedule just for weather-related things down the road. But nothing's happened. So we'll work on a couple different things, but try to stay strong with a good practice routine. And we do get bumped from the gym one day, so kids will get a little half hour off of practice. So those are good things too. Sometimes no practice is the best practice when you have a long season in front of you, and kind of rest and recover a little bit too sometimes.
The head coach of the Carrington girls basketball team, Andy Broughton, joining us. His team heads to Fort Totten tomorrow night to take on Four Winds Minnewacan. It is a 7:15 airtime right here on KDAK, the Cardinal. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time to do this, and we'll see you over in Fort Totten tomorrow.
Thanks, BJ. Appreciate it.
Our thanks to Carrington girls basketball head coach Andy Broughton for joining us. Also, Carrington girls wrestling coach Mark Pazdernick and senior girls basketball players Eden Hornet and Isabel Wendell. Thanks so much for joining us for the Carrington Coaches Show. When we come back from this break, we'll send you just across town to Carrington Gymnasium. It is the Cardinals taking on the Griggs Midcoda Titans, and Kyle Hewitt has the call for you. This has been the Carrington Coaches Show on KDAK The Cardinal and the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page.
There's no community like a Cenex community. That's why every Cenex store is proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
Visit your local Arrowwood Prairie Co-op in Carrington, Wimbledon, Cooperstown, and Sutton.
Carrington sports fans want to stay on top of all the local action? Catch what you missed by checking out the Foster County Independent. From game-changing plays to memorable moments, we've got you covered with the most in-depth sports coverage in town. And don't miss our stunning photo galleries that capture every thrilling moment and winning smile. For the latest scores, stories, and stunning sports shots, grab your copy of the Foster County Independent today or visit us online at fosterconews.com.
Do you want to make sure homework time isn't spent on games and video streaming? Dakota Central can help. With Experience IQ, You set limits to ensure your kids aren't playing when they should be doing homework. With premium managed Wi Fi from Dakota Central, you can create healthier internet habits for your children from the easy to use Command IQ app. Learn more about premium Wi Fi and experience IQ today at dakotacentral.com.
Effortlessly manage your farm fertility with Verify. Verify takes yield data directly from your combine and instantly generates variable rate fertility maps based on your nutritional goals. Whether it's building soil, balancing nutrition, or maintaining fertility. And with full integration with John Deere Operations Center, Verify can send recommendations directly to application equipment, no matter the color. For more information on Verify, talk to your hefty agronomist and keep your farm moving.
When you're thinking about insurance, think of Bickett Insurance. Bickett Insurance, through our partnership with Auto Owners Insurance, can take care of your farm, home, auto, business, or life insurance needs. The agents at Bickett Insurance have over 115 years of insurance experience, and we are from here, so we know how to design policies to protect the things important to you. Let Bickett Insurance give you a free proposal from Auto Owners Insurance or one of our many other partners. Give Bickett Insurance a call at 652-1775 today.
Thought that would be the end of the show, but not quite. A little bit more. O'clock tonight, and so you can come by and have the breakfast special. Breakfast is served all day here, by the way. Country sausage, 2 eggs and toast for $6.99, or the breakfast burger. That's the sandwich special today. A quarter-pound burger with bacon, American cheese, and over medium egg, served with French fries or a cup of soup, and that's also less than $9. Just before we continue on our upcoming schedule, as we've been telling you about. Coming up shortly, Carrington boys basketball against Griggs Mid-Coda. Kyle will have the play-by-play story for you of that. I will be in Fort Totten tomorrow night as the Carrington girls take on Four Winds Minnewacan. It's been a really strange year for the Indians. They have lost 8 straight games since a season opening win. They're 1-8, but you heard it from Isabel Wendell. Their record doesn't matter because they're a good home team, and they are each year. So we will be with you somewhere around 7 or 7:15 tomorrow night, right here on the Cardinal. And then the basketball teams take the late week off before they get back to it next week. Again, the boys will be Monday against rugby, the girls Tuesday against Northern Cass. Girls wrestling at 11 a.m. on Saturday at the Lisbon tournament. And so that is what is to come here as Carrington sports really get going. And right now, let's see
Hello.
if indeed we are joined by Kyle Hewitt, who will be bringing you Griggs Mid-Coda and Carrington coming up. Kyle, can you hear me?
Sure can.
All right, we can hear you. So, Kyle, it is a Carrington team that's playing pretty good ball right now. 7-3, coming off of 2 wins in 2 days at the end of last week, going up against a Griggs Mid-Coda team that they've already beaten once.
Yeah, and when you look at Griggs Mid-Coda, they come in 4-1 tonight. Their only loss is to Carrington, and it was a 23-point win. So, it was kind of one of those games. Carrington jumped out really early. The second half of that game was much more competitive. So, I kind of expect this could be a lot tighter game than what we saw the first time around. At least I'm kind of expecting that tonight.
And you look at it, the reason why Carrington were able to jump all over the Titans was the 3-point shooting. And we talk so much about with good basketball teams, everything starts looking the same game in to game out. Are we approaching that area with this basketball team? Because every night they hit a lot of threes and they get out in transition a lot. It looks the same in year 2 under Coach Autumn.
Yeah, I think, and that's what they have to do. They don't have consistent, inside game at this time. They've got some potential with some younger guys, but the main nucleus of their players right now, they run and they shoot. So that they're kind of in that old adage of you live by the three, you die by the three, and right now they've gotten a lot of open looks, which kind of surprises me to a certain degree, especially the last time they played Griggs Midkota. The Titans did not defend very well on the 3-point perimeter, and Carrington made them pay in that first half, and that ultimately was the difference in the game that night. So I would expect you'll see them maybe come out in a little zone possibly and try to take away some of that outside. But we'll see. I'll be interested to see what they start with tonight.
Kyle Hewitt joining us. He is about to bring us Carrington and Griggs Midkota in boys basketball. Kyle, you got to see this team a lot through, a tough schedule and a tough season a year ago. That was Coach Otto in year one. This is Coach Otto in year two. Where do you see the biggest improvement?
Well, I was just talking to one of the Cardinal fans here tonight, and I kind of said that I think it's just the overall defensively. Outside of we talk about a lot of the offense and making shots, but honestly, I think a lot of it starts on the defensive end, and I just see a lot more overall good defense, and that a lot of times leads to the transition, and it just leads to open shots. So, and it might be cliche, but I still think I see a lot better overall defensive pressure put on the ball than what we did last year. And I think that ultimately leads to everything on the offensive end. So that's just my thoughts anyway.
Talon Maring is having a great season, and this is a sophomore that is going to get a lot better. I mean, how exciting, is it to watch this kid when he gets hot from three? Not only is the ball going up, the ball's going in.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with what they're doing right now. You've got multiple guys, including Josh Pickett and Grady Island will hit some threes. Uh, Maddox McAloney will hit threes. So you got multiple guys that can make those shots, and that and if those other guys make shots, it just makes it that much easier for everyone else.
Alec Threadgold, 14 points in each of his last two games. That's including against a good New Rockford team. It feels like that's a young man who, much like Drew Matt, needed minutes, and now that he's getting them, you can see the rapid growth that he is making.
Yeah, and he was one of the kids early in the season this year. I thought, he's got a lot of potential, and I think you're starting to see, and as he gets minutes and makes some solid contributions, he's just going to get more confident, and his play will probably just keep getting better and better. Obviously, he's just kind of scratching the surface at the varsity level. So, and it's good for him. As you're saying that, I just saw Andrew Matt take a turnaround shot. Andrew's another one. You know, he's just got to. I think for Andrew's biggest thing right now, he's got to work on his feet work down low in the post, and if he can develop some better moves down low, he's just going to improve as well. So, one thing, and I'll be interested to see if the coaches, when you're playing Andrew and Alec Dreadgold out on that floor, and hopefully we'll see them together at times. But I think you got to see some more zone defense when those guys are out there. It's a tough assignment throwing those guys up against some of these guys trying to play them one-on-one, and so we'll see if they change any of their defensive style with those guys out on the floor going forward, because I think if you can drop those guys into a 2-on-2 or even a 2-3 type of zone, you're going to see them a lot more effective with their length and that stuff on the defensive end.
Kyle Hewitt is joining us. He's about to bring you Carrington and Griggs Midkota. So, last question for you, Kyle. What can we expect from the Titans? What did you like from them when you saw them the first time?
Like I said, they got off to a really slow start that first half, and that I think you're going to see some stuff a little bit different. I expect to see them to try to push the ball inside a lot more, especially early in the game, and possibly you might see them drop into a zone defense. That's what they did somewhat more in the second half of that game, where they had more success. When you look back at that game, it was 37-19 at halftime, and the second half was 26-21 in favor of Carrington. So the halves were very different, and with that, they did not make shots in the first half. So if they make a few shots early in this game, and can stop Carrington from a bunch of threes early, I just expect this could be a lot different type of game than we saw 10 days ago.
Carrington with a chance to surpass their 2020-21 win total. And 2 years ago, it was 13 wins. 3 years ago, 11 wins. Those are all attainable goals at this point, but it starts tonight with Griggs Midcoda. Kyle, we will let you go so that we can log out of our systems and let you log into them. Have a great call tonight. Thanks for doing this right beforehand.
You bet. Thanks, BJ.
Kyle Hewitt there with us on the Carrington Coaches Show. Indeed, we are going to wrap it up so that Kyle can take over. Thanks so much to him for joining us. Also, Coach Broughton, also Coach Pazdernick, and Eden Hornet and Isabel Wendell. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been the Carrington Coaches Show on KDAK The Cardinal and the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page.
Thank you for joining us for the Carrington Coaches Show, live from the Prairie Inn in Carrington on KDAK The Cardinal and the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page. If you missed this or any other Carrington Coaches Show, you can always go back and listen to the KDAK podcast page at newsdakota.com and on the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page. The proceeding has been a presentation of I3G Media Sports.
There's no community like a Cenex community. That's why every Cenex